Stomach FightHype.com here with Steven Espinoza. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent.
How are you feeling about Danny coming back, man? How you expect the show to go?
Look, Danny to me, one of the fighters I respect most in the sport. I mean, I have respect for everybody who comes in the ring. But what Danny has accomplished, I have a special affection for him. 39 fights, 15 world title fights, has fought, everyone likes to say, look, I'll fight anybody, anytime. Danny says that, and he walks the walk too. I mean, you look at it, going back to Lucas Matisse, who said nobody thought he should fight him at that point. The Amir Khan, the Zab Judas, the Spence, Thurman Porter. He's a throwback fighter. And I will always support Danny. Throughout his career and afterwards, because you can't not respect what he has done in his career and the way he's carried it out.
Do you think he gets a little bit underrated because his run at 140 was spectacular? His run at 147, maybe some would say was lackluster, but his fight against Sean Porter was incredibly close.
Yeah.
Keith Thurman was incredibly close. The only guy who, everybody I guess can say really did beat him was Spence.
Yeah.
So do you think that, because of that, he gets a little bit underrated?
I think so, and also because he's he's very personable and outgoing and charismatic, but he's not the loudest guy. He's also not the guy who's going to blow his own horn. And to some extent, Angel does some of that for him. But, I think he is underrated and underappreciated. He's probably one of those guys that when he retires, there's going to be a lot more affection for him than there is now. Not that there's not affection for him. He's got a great fan base, and he's very popular. But the reality is, he is one of the cornerstone guys in the sport and has been over the last decade.
I'd love to know your opinion because the other day, Jermall Charlo went on, I believe it was Instagram Live, and he started talking about a lot of people, Demetrius Andrade, Triple G, Benavidez, Munguia, also Chris Eubank Jr. Out of those fights, which one would you think is probably the most likely, or is it kind of difficult to say?
Well, look, I think the most likely one is, and the one that I think is the best is clearly, to me, Benavidez. And I'm not saying the other ones aren't possible, but Munguia had his shot. We were right there on the 1 yard line. His promoter walked away from the fight, basically. Andre, had his shot. He's had his shot at both of them. He had a fight on the table.
Can you?
All right, Rob. Good to see you, bro.
Can you actually kind of clear that up a little bit, because there's this running notion that Charlo really never wanted to quote unquote fight against Andrade when you guys were behind the scenes trying to make that fight multiple times.
Yeah, and the reality, the time that I've been referring to, look, his promoter will confirm it, is, and I don't know the year. His deal was up with DAZN. And so there was a window there where we said, okay, you're talking about re-signing with DAZN. You could also go this way. Give you a Charlo fight, or a fight and then a Charlo fight, either way. And, he decided to re-sign with DAZN. And even after the fact, made the comment. His comment was, DAZN is going to keep paying me millions of dollars to fight guys like Luke Keeler, then I'm going to resign. That says everything you want to know. That's fine. If that's the way you want to go, there are lots of ways to carry out a career. And if that was his preference, and he wanted to, cash in on that money, that's great. But then don't say that Jermall Charlo won't fight you, because it was there, and it was a healthy offer, and it certainly wasn't anything that he couldn't have gone and fought with DAZN afterwards if he wanted to do that. So I think in each of those, there have been opportunities, and they've just not come through. I mean, you commit to signing Jermall and then you walk away from it, later on. That's a problem. Munguia, I don't blame Munguia, for that fight. He was in the fight. He committed to it. He had accepted his deal. It's his promoter that screwed things up, unnecessarily.
Do you think the Andrade against Charlo fight, it kind of has a little bit of a Spence versus Crawford feeling? Not the magnitude of it, but because Crawford is a free agent and now Andrade is a free agent as well. So it's like, okay, we can really probably make that fight happen.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but I mean, I don't really hear anybody, except for a couple very notable people, who are pushing for, Charlo Andrade. I don't really see, that's not something that in social media or when I'm out in public or anywhere people say, look, that's the fight you have to make. I just don't. Part of it is Charlo probably, I'm sorry, Andrade hasn't been as visible, having been on his own, fighting guys who don't have the biggest names. I just don't think that there's a whole lot of demand for it. I mean, to me, I'm not saying we wouldn't do it or it's not possible, but to me, it's sort of like the time has already passed for that. That fight peaked a while ago. It's not nearly as exciting as Charlo versus Benavidez or Charlo versus Canelo. There are better opportunities out there right now.
Gotcha. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, you got it.